If she's a red face, she's a thought! Hello everyone, and welcome to the Figure Break channel. Today, I'm going to be reviewing this. It is Proplica's 1:1 scale Excalibur, Sword of Promise Victory. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the review. So, Proplica's 1:1 scale Excalibur. This is an amazing collectible that a lot of work was put into, and even thought for that matter. The sword itself is made out of ABS plastic, so it is a very hard plastic and will last a very long time. However, it is very fragile, meaning that in terms of if you want to do play sword fighting or anything like that, that's probably not the most recommended thing. Now, if you're worried, let's say if you bump it or, drop it by accident, the paint on the gold right here, while it being very shiny and beautifully done and nice and clean, it is very, very hard, and you almost have to put effort into scratching off the paint on this. In fact, I even went ahead and just took an area and tried to purposely scratch it off. It took a little bit of effort to finally scratch off the paint. So yeah, I know that ruins the value of my replica or whatever, but I did it anyways because I was curious myself. But again, really well crafted, very well sculpted. You can tell each individual part from the next. It is a very well sculpted and painted sword for sure. Now, obviously, in addition to how the sword was made and what it's made out of, it does have a couple of features. One of the main features being, with the deluxe version, is going to be this invisible sword part that sticks out from the bottom of the hilt here. So it simply just goes in there, and then it easily comes out. Now, what this is for is basically for you to imagine that you have the invisible Excalibur. Now, wait a minute, why do I need a prompt for that? Well, that is because it makes sounds itself. So when you first turn it on, so that was the famous line that she says when she first kind of is questioned about what her weapon is. Is it a sword, or is it an axe, or is it even a polearm? So that is the line that she says. Now, as you might be able to tell, there are two kind of switch positions that you can put this invisible sword into. There is the number 2 position, which basically allows you that when you first turn on the switch, it does that voice line. Now, if you put it back into the off position and then just put it to number 1, which is the other option, it just does the sound. That's all it does. No voice line or anything like that. Now, there is a button also on this invisible sword, so when you're holding it, it'll make sound effects for you as well, in addition to the one voice line that this only has. And of course, it has a little glow-up part to it as well, so there's that little effect too. That is the exclusive thing about the DX version. Now we're getting into the part where both of the swords have these features that I'm going to now mention. So when it comes to the actual sword itself, that is where you will have 2 switches, which you access to by opening up this side panel right here, and there's a switch right here. What this switch does is that it has an A and a B side to the switch. The B side is just sound effects. There's no voice lines or anything like that when you switch to the B side. But when you switch to the A side, at first it does this. Now that sound effect right there that just happened is the sound effect that is used in the anime of summoning Saber. That is the sound effect. That's the almost sound for sound. That is the sound effect. Now when you push this button right here that is closest to the guard, it makes a sound. So that is a classic line that Saber says when she's first being summoned. Are you my master? Basically, for the most part. So that's kind of cool. Now, if you continue to push the button multiple times, usually what will happen is 3 sound effects, then a grunt, then 3 sound effects, and then a voice line that usually mentions one of the other servants. So each one of those voice lines usually mentions, again, one of the other servants. So Lancer, Rider, Berserker, and so on. And that even cycles as well. I think it's like Lancer, then Berserker, and then so on and so forth. But again, it's a repeatable cycle that you can easily mathematically go to, if that makes sense. Now, going into more of the features of the sword itself, if you hold down the button for a couple of seconds on the sword, like so, it will light up. And it'll even make a sound. Which is basically it going into being ready to release its noble phantasm. Now, if you push the button again, Saber will basically say Excalibur, the glowing light will power down and it'll do the sound effect of her releasing her noble phantasm. Now I've only talked about features that are of this button right here that is closest to the guard. This button, which is furthest from the guard, basically only has one function, and that is it plays theme music for you as you play with your sword. Yes, it plays background music for you. It's amazing. Now, the 2 background songs that it does play for you are actually from the anime original soundtrack, and those are Into the Battle and Excalibur, 2 very commonly used songs for Saber when she is either battling or using her Excalibur, obviously. And all you have to do, just push the button once, it plays one of the songs, you can push it again to stop it, and then press it again to play the next song of the internal soundtrack that this sword has. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, does it have an auto turn-off feature? And in fact, it does. And an additional has a voice line associated with it, which is this. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, does it have an auto turn-off feature? And in fact, it does. And an additional has a voice line associated with it, which is this. Shiro, I'm hungry. That's enough training for today. Let's go eat. It's a very simple line, and it's very reminiscent to the anime itself, even. Now, as a little bit of a disclaimer for these features that I've mentioned, when you go to sites and it's telling you the difference between the deluxe version and the standard version, the only exclusive part that's really physical with the deluxe version is the invisible sword part. That is the only part that is actually exclusive to the deluxe version. Now, when it comes to, I guess you could say, the technological or the voice lines, the deluxe version has some additional voice lines. It says which one of those lines are exclusive to the deluxe version. Unfortunately, I don't know because I don't own the standard version of this sword, and nor do I need to because I have the deluxe version already. So that you may have to do a little bit more research on. Now, the other feature with this is that it does come with a stand, and it's not exactly the best thing possible. All it is that this part right here, the basically handle of the sword goes here, the guard goes in here, and then this part at the very end is where the tip goes. So it's going to take up a lot of shelf space, unfortunately. I kind of wish there was a part that would allow you to hang it on the wall, but it doesn't, so you'd have to make one yourself. So unless you have a lot of shelf space, you may want to think about a method when you get it in to hang it up onto your wall. Otherwise, it's going to take up a lot of shelf space. And well, I need shelf space for my figures. As much as I like this sword and how amazing it is, I'm going to have to hang it up on the wall because I need space for my figures, for example. Okay, so as for a rating of this product, I'm going to be giving it a 9 out of 10. This thing is just wow. The only part that's holding it back is going to be the stand, which this is a pretty long sword. It is a full-on sword. It is a 1-to-1 scale for sure. But the stand, unfortunately, allows it to take up a lot of shelf space. So, again, you'd have to probably make your own version of a display for this. It doesn't really come with the best version possible to display this. But the features that it has when you are not displaying it are amazing. The sound effects, the glow-in-the-dark sword effect. Oh, hold the button for the closest to the hip for a few seconds. Oh! 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 Holy cow, that's awesome! And then it has theme music when you are nerding out. Theme music. That is awesome. Like, that is one of the coolest things about this, is the fact that it has theme music. I don't even know of, like, for example, one of the Star Wars lightsabers that has its own theme music. This does. That's really cool. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this product if you're a Saber fan, and even a Fate fan for that matter. It is a really good product. Okay, so that concludes my review of Proplica's 1-to-1 scale Excalibur Sword of Promised Victory. I really hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you in the next video. See you later.